This week, an historic meeting on the border between North and South Korea. Dictator Kim Jong-un and President Moon Jae-in met, and the K-pop stopped. That's the barrage of pop music the South has been blasting into the North as both sides engage in propaganda wars via loudspeakers. It was hard to ignore when we visited last year. Far more important is the prospect of formally ending a state of war that's lasted nearly 68 years. To arrive at the tensest border on the planet, we drove north 35 miles from South Korea's capital of Seoul. Barbed wire and guard towers appear amongst lush fields of rice before we hit the first checkpoint. Security is serious because the two countries don't recognize each other as sovereign nations. They're still officially at war.
Provide briefings to the visitors.
Once on site at the demilitarized zone, or DMZ, we can look over the mountainous green landscape into North Korea.
And then you can see out there.
The demilitarized zone is not demilitarized. It's probably one of the most militarized spots on Earth, with a number of divisions and hundreds of thousands of soldiers and hundreds of artillery pieces of both the ROK Army, Republic of Korea Army, and the North Korean Army facing each other.
Harold Ruff is a military historian assigned here with the combined U.S.-South Korea forces. What is this music we hear?
This is really propaganda. Both sides use multiple platforms to get their word to the other side.
The Korean flag sticking up, that is the last village before you get straight into North Korea.
Captain Jeffrey Lee is among the 37,000 U.S. troops stationed in South Korea, more than half here on the front lines. Are you told to be poised for something to happen literally any second?
It's not that we're told, it's just that's our mission every day. So it's just a picture of kind of what we do on a daily basis. And if you look at that concrete slab, that's the border.
Yes.
On the far side, you have some North Korean soldiers. So we've got Korean soldiers and U.S. soldiers standing side by side. Really kind of facing straight into the gut of the enemy.
In 1950, the North Koreans attacked the South. China backed North Korea, and the U.S. aided the South. Over 3 years, 900,000 soldiers were killed, including 33,000 U.S. troops.
We have stopped the shooting.
An agreement signed in 1953 didn't end the war, but halted the fighting and established this 2.5-mile-wide demilitarized zone, or DMZ, on the border. The U.S. has kept troops here ever since.
From a personal standpoint, it resonates with me a lot more because as a Korean American, my parents immigrated to the States in the 80s. If the U.S. hadn't intervened in the Korean conflict in 1950, I wouldn't be standing here wearing this uniform today, standing in a U.S. Army uniform on the border of North and South Korea, defending really freedom on freedom's frontier to defend against any aggressions against the free world.
Actually, officially ending the war will require talks, including the U.S. and China. President Trump is expected to meet with North Korea's leader around mid-June.